Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decoding Downtowns, brought to you by Vistity. In this podcast, we dive deep with leaders from business improvement districts across the nation, revealing the strategies that are shaping the future of urban development and economic growth. Thanks for joining us. So, welcome back to the podcast. It's Jamie. Today, we'll be exploring downtown Cincinnati. It's a vibrant city on the Ohio River known for its rich history, iconic landmarks, and thriving arts scene. Join us as we discover what they're doing to promote economic development. My guest today is Joe Rudemiller. He's Vice President of Marketing and Communications with the Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation, the 3CDC in downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome to the podcast. Joe, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself and a little bit about...
Great to be here with you. Excellent job. I know it's kind of a mouthful, 3CDC, when you say the whole name out loud there. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati. I had a brief stint at Ohio University where I got a degree in journalism for 4 years. But other than that, my whole life has been here. I love this city. And I love working for an organization like 3CDC, whose goal is to promote all the great things that we have going on down here.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about downtown Cincinnati. Share what makes it unique. What's exciting about it?
I think everything is exciting about it. I think we're actually kind of the perfect size city in my mind. We're kind of a little big city or a big little city, if you will. And I think it's compact, it's walkable, but we have really world-class arts, entertainment, sports, really great restaurant scene. And that's really thriving in this area. But we don't have to deal with some of the headaches that come with being in a larger city, like the traffic and getting to various places. It's dense. And so we're able to take advantage of all of these world-class offerings and do so in a way that's a little bit easier, I feel like. So I think that kind of sets us apart and makes us a little bit unique.
Cool. Hey, tell us about the 3CDC. How's it organized? How you funded? Explain to us how it works.
So we're actually a nonprofit real estate developer. That was how we started about 20 years ago. And so a lot of the major corporations started funding us. Over time, we've been able to generate different revenue streams. And so as a nonprofit real estate developer, we've brought a lot of old buildings back into life. We built new structures. We also program all the civic spaces in downtown Cincinnati. There's about 6 of those that we do. And then we manage the business improvement district. So we got a lot of irons in the fire. We're doing a lot of different things, but essentially we make that investment in buildings and then feel like we kind of protect that investment with the ambassador services, with the events that we provide in those civic spaces to try to add it all up, create vibrancy, and make it an attractive place to come visit, to work, or to live.
So tell us a little bit about you. What's your current role? What are you responsible for?
Yeah. So I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications here. I've been with the organization about 10 years. And so I'm essentially responsible for any of the communications that kind of come out of the organization or anything that we're doing internally. So as a developer, we do a lot of media relations. We work with a lot of tenants. We have about 100 street level commercial tenants, whether those are restaurants or retailers. So there's a lot of that. As a nonprofit, we're doing a lot of fundraising. So we do a series of grant applications. We're trying to raise money in that manner. So managing social media presence and those types of things for downtown Cincinnati. We have about 10 websites that we manage for the various civic spaces that we oversee, as well as the main organization. So a lot of internal corporate communications as well. We do a lot of presentations, people trying to learn from the model that we've created here as a nonprofit real estate developer and how we've gone about doing that. So it kind of runs the gamut.
And how about you? What's your story? How did you get into the current role and what inspired you?
Honestly, I kind of stumbled into it, if I'm being honest. I was looking for a career change, wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do, but I saw these 3CDC signs all over downtown. And I saw the impact that they were having in terms of trying to turn around our urban core. And so I said, that seems like a cool place to work. I applied. I actually got in the door, taking a job that I was probably a little bit overqualified for, but just sort of worked my way up. And here I am today, 10 years later, loving everything I'm doing and trying to, again, promote that vibrancy that we have here in downtown.
Great. Explain how the organization plays a role in supporting economic development.
A lot of different ways. I think there's the physical buildings when we're developing them. We have about 9 garages that we manage to make sure that people who are coming into downtown have a place to park. And then I mentioned we have about 100 street level retail tenants that we're supporting. So there's building the buildings, then there's filling those spaces in, and then supporting those restaurants and retailers to really create that ecosystem that is thriving and that's generating foot traffic, bringing people to our urban core, keeping them in our urban core, and spending their money here. So it's a multifaceted approach, and we really do a lot of different things and have a lot of lines of business that kind of contributes to that economic development and vibrancy in downtown.
So tell me a little bit about what's happening in development in Cincinnati right now. Are you focused on residential? Are you focused on more retail? What's going on in your area?
So I would say the big thing that we're all working on as a region is the convention district. And so we are currently in the process of reimagining the southwest corner of our downtown. We're going to be doing a $200 million renovation of our convention center, updating it, modernizing it, really trying to bring it up to speed with our peer cities, and then also adding some amenities like some outdoor areas to elevate it even further. And then along with that, we're also building a new convention headquarters hotel. That'll be about a $500 million investment. And so we're really going to reshape this entire southwest corner of our central business district. And I'd say that that's really been an exciting project. We're working with the city of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, where we're located. A lot of the organizations in the area have all come to the table. We share this vision, and we're moving forward together to try to, again, attract some of those larger conventions and really set us up for success and try to connect a lot of the great amenities that we already have. I mean, our downtown, I mentioned, it's compact and walkable. Somebody could conceivably in a couple of years come to a convention, walk 3 blocks down to a Reds game, come up to Fountain Square, and we have live programming every night. There's just so many things going on. And so we feel like this convention district area is kind of a missing piece that we're trying to fill in.
What do you suppose is the timeline horizon for that?
So we're going to start construction July 1st on the convention center. We will unfortunately have to shut that down for 18 months, but we want to get that all wrapped up very quickly. And so that'll be back online late 2025, early 2026. The hotel itself is trailing about 6 months. So we expect to break ground on that probably later this year, maybe early next. And that'll be about a 2.5 year time horizon on that. So
big
like
changes.
Some really big changes, really exciting, but we feel like it's going to really set us apart and is something that has been missing, and that we will turn a negative into a positive, I feel like, with this whole effort.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, maybe some of the challenges that you're facing in promoting economic development. Is there any problems right now with that?
I think one of the things that is a challenge that probably all downtowns are experiencing, but acutely here, is the lack of office workers. I mean, we went from having 80,000 people who were down here every day supporting these restaurants and businesses, and that kind of went away. And we're seeing it come back, and more people are coming back downtown to the office. But I think we've really seen a change in how we're promoting and how we can support these businesses, because we're not seeing as much of that daytime traffic. What we're actually seeing is a lot of people coming down for entertainment in the evening more so. And so trying to understand what those customer patterns are and be supportive, and then try to promote all these businesses is what we're really trying to focus in on right now.
Is it having any impact on sort of the price per square foot and availability?
No, I don't feel like it is. And interestingly, I feel like we're seeing numbers that collectively are pretty close to or exceeding pre-pandemic levels. It's just that change in customer behavior. It's instead of restaurant necessarily being open for lunch, they've extended maybe their hours for dinner a little bit more, and maybe they've added some carry out or some other options like that. And so I think it's just recognizing what those changes are. But we aren't actually seeing, I don't feel like it's had a huge change on the market in general, I guess.
That's great.
Yeah.
So actionable advice, if you could suggest one actionable step for our listeners who are involved in economic development, what would that be?
I mean, to me, I think collaboration is key to everything we do, whether that's working with the local government to come up with a policy that is going to help a business, whether that's working directly with the business owner or with the local chamber of commerce or the other organizations that are stakeholders in this town who are dedicated to trying to bring people down here. I feel like that is what kind of makes us kind of hum here in Cincinnati, is working together and that collaboration. So I think getting a range of ideas and looking at different perspectives and having more people in the room is always a positive as you're trying to come up with strategy and creative ways to change how you market downtown or wherever you're at. And so I think collaboration is really at the heart of everything we do here. We have great partnerships, as I mentioned, with organizations in the private and the public sector, and bringing that all together, I think, really sets you up for success.
How's that changing, what's happening in building codes and zoning and variances, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, we just saw actually a large piece of legislation called Connected Communities just passed through our city council here, excuse me, in the past week, actually. And so it'll take a couple years for us to see how that plays out. But I think the idea is we want to create more density here in our downtown, bring more people down here. And so working with the city as a developer, we can understand what those patterns are and work with them to try to craft that legislation and get over some of the challenges that we had. I think downtown here, we've removed parking minimums, for instance, on a lot of developments. And so that unlocks a lot of opportunity when you don't have to worry so much about having one space for one unit as you're developing residential buildings. That makes a big difference. We have a historic district here over the Rhine where we do a lot of our development work. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping that historic fabric, but there are things like zoning variances where you can sometimes just add one floor to a building as you're
And that
developing
changes
it.
everything.
Exactly. And you can unlock those kinds of things. So those are the type of discussions that we're having as we're looking at that zoning code and trying to, again, create more of that density, bring more people down here, whether it's in office or residential.
Okay, great. Let's pivot for a moment and talk about data and
Sure.
economic development data. And wondering what you're tracking and what you're finding is the most important data that you track for investors and developers.
Yeah, I would say one of the metrics that we've been tracking closely since the start of the pandemic and coming out of that really is the revenues at our garages that I mentioned. We manage 9 different garages, as well as the 100 commercial tenants that we manage. So we're looking at their sales per square footage. We're looking at how much money we're making per stall at our garages. And what we've really seen over this time is, in 2020, there was obviously a significant dip, but we've seen that steadily kind of climb back to where we're at, actually higher than we were pre-pandemic numbers. And so I think sharing that information with potential employers, with current employers, with potential business owners to show them, hey, we have the foot traffic that's come back. We have people that are coming back to our downtown. I think that's a selling point as people who are looking to open businesses here are curious and wondering. We can tell them, yeah, we realize that everybody's not necessarily back in the office 5 days a week and probably won't be, but we're seeing strong numbers and people who are coming down here, who are parking down here, who are experiencing the events, as well as attending these restaurants and retailers in our urban core. We think that shows and tells a pretty good story in terms of where we're at with, bringing folks down.
Yeah, it sure does. Do you publish that data, the parking, information about parking? And
So we actually don't publish that. That is more on earned media side of things when I'm talking to potential journalists about stories, and we try to pepper that in anytime I'm having a conversation with a journalist who's doing a story about our downtown or what our outlook is. I feel like it's a common question that we get as somebody who is trying to promote downtown is what are those data points? And so that is really what we're trying to push anytime we get an opportunity to tell that story through the media.
well, you have that great insight because you control those 9 lots. So that's
Yep.
a really great, data point that you can draw upon.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, it shows those traffic numbers and that we're getting people down here for sure.
So your marketing, communications, how are you telling the story? How are you telling the story of economic development in downtown Cincinnati?
Yeah, so I mentioned it's a lot of our media for sure. For instance, we just had a great cover story, the local Business Courier publication about the development that we've done in Court Street. This is an area, kind of northern central business district, and there's been about $125 million in investment over the past couple of years, and we're starting to see that area really come alive. So that is something that we're really leaning into. Obviously, we're utilizing social media and trying to promote our story through not only images, but videos and engaging content that way. We're doing direct email marketing and trying to build up our list that way. So we're coming at it from a variety of different aspects and avenues, but always looking for new and creative ways to try to tell the story for people who are either already here and that we're trying to kind of get them out and spend their dollars here or bring people from out of the area.
How do you see this all changing? Because we have so many new platforms now. Where do you see it heading?
I don't know. I think there's going to continue to be more and more creative uses, I guess, on the digital front. I think certainly, you look at the picture behind you, something like that, an interactive map that people can utilize, and you can really help tell the story in that way. I think we're seeing a lot more, drone footage and really cool looking videos that are being put together to tell that story of a downtown, to put it in the best light. I think we're going to continue to see more and more of that. And I think data is key. It's key really to everything that we do. And it really kind of drives the decisions that we're making as a business. And so I think we'll continue to see that grow and evolve as well.
How about tools? Are you have any plans to implement dashboards or data visualization or other things?
Yeah, we have a state of downtown report that utilizes some of those maps and some of those data points. I think we need to continue as an organization to evolve in that area, to continue to look at how we can accelerate that and include more of those interactive tools and really make things easy for the customer or the person who's coming to downtown Cincinnati to unlock and experience all the great things that we have. I think, as somebody who's down here all the time, I know all the great happening. The challenge is making sure that somebody else outside of that knows it and then also can easily and seamlessly experience it. We want somebody to come in, to be able to fly into CBG, get very simple transportation, come right downtown, have a hotel to stay at, a great event to go to on Fountain Square, place to eat. All of those things I think kind of add up into a great experience. So that's what we're going to continue to try to work toward.
Joe, how often do you publish the State of Downtown report?
So it's a living document that is just on our website, and it is regularly updated. So with various data. Once a year, we try to go in and make sure that we're doing a full data scrub and updating things like the number of hotels that are coming online, the number of developments that are in the pipeline. But there are other pieces of content on there that just automatically update based on, for instance, like ACS 5-year survey data from the government. As that gets pushed out, it just kind of updates.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess looking ahead for the coming year, it sounds like the Civic Center or Convention Center, it's a convention center renovation, right?
Yeah. I mean, that is in the coming year a huge focus of ours. I think one area that we're also looking to kind of enhance is we have this great gathering space, Fountain Square. It's where we come together to celebrate our wins. Like if the Bengals or the Reds, God willing, ever win the championship, that's where we're going to celebrate. But it's this great spot in the heart of downtown where people congregate. And then we have this historic neighborhood over the Rhine that's just about 6 or 7 blocks north that anybody who comes in from out of town always makes it a point to see. We have a bit of a dead zone of about 3 or 4 blocks between those two neighborhoods, and we're really focused on trying to fill that in so that anybody that comes downtown Cincinnati has a seamless experience. They feel that positive energy from Fountain Square walking all the way up north. And so that's a big focus of our organization right now is trying to fill that pocket in.
And so how do you see the long-term goals, moving beyond the new, when the construction's done and we're kind of heading into 2026, 27, 28, where do you see it headed?
I mean, I think that is really going to be a game changer, honestly, for our community. I think it's just going to bring in so much more tourism than what we're seeing right now. And that's going to just uplift everything else that's happening in our downtown. I think one of the other things that we're looking at is trying to kind of create neighborhood overlays. So we have this central business district, but people from around the area kind of think of downtown as just downtown Cincinnati. Those of us who are down here think of it as different kind of neighborhoods. And so we're really putting forth an effort to try to come up with kind of little district areas that can associate a vibe or a feeling. Right now, for instance, we have an area called the Banks that's right on the river. We have this historic district over the Rhine. People understand that. But right now, we just have this central business district. We'd love to create kind of neighborhood overlays that lean into what those specific areas of downtown kind of offer. And so that's an effort that our team is really working on as a marketing tool for our downtown.
As this convention center project becomes more and more real, are you seeing it impact, development? Are other people jumping in? Is there new residential being planned? How's it affecting the market?
So I think we have a number of different projects that we're looking at doing, and we're fortunate in that the city and the county and several other public entities control a lot of the property in that area. So right now we're really focused on that convention center, and then we'll be focused on the hotel, but we envision several mixed-use development projects right in that area where we're bringing in residential, potentially office space, and then again, some of that street level commercial space. That's something that we're very focused on. We also are in the process of actually converting a couple of department stores to Class A office space and street level retail space. There's one right across the street from Fountain Square called the Foundry. We've actually already completed that development. It was about a $50 million development. Filled the office space already with about 1,000 employees, and then we're filling in the street level commercial space. Right down the block from that, there's a former Saks that we are also doing the same type of conversion. And we've recently announced leases with a tenant over there for the office space, as well as
what type of tenants are you seeing come in?
So it'll be an office tenant in the 40,000 square feet on the upper floors. That's Paycor, a human capital management company. And then on the street level, we're going to have one of the most well-known restaurateurs in Cincinnati, Jose Salazar, is going to be opening his namesake restaurant in that space. And so those projects actually really connect Fountain Square over to the southwest corner where we have the convention district. And so all of this is happening at once. And we feel like, honestly, in 2 years right now, that connection is going to be seamless, and it's going to be an amazing experience for anybody who comes to the convention center. They're going to walk out and be able to walk 2 blocks and get some of the best dining in town, as well as, again, that event experience on Fountain Square.
Downtown Cincinnati, man. Sounds great.
Yeah.
So let's play make-believe and pretend for a minute. We meet in magic school. You've been handed a magic wand. You've been given the power to cast a spell. How would you use it to promote the vitality of downtown Cincinnati?
So we've been talking about it a lot. This is probably not like the biggest thinking, but to me, it would be like a time accelerator, because I really feel like this convention district is what is going to unlock so much more potential. And so if I could just wave a magic wand and that was complete right now, I think it would be fantastic. And we would just be kind of taking off. Development would be accelerating like wildfire. We'd be bringing more visitors to the area. But I feel like that would honestly be the biggest game changer for our town. And so I think on some level, that's really exciting because we're heading in that direction. It's just, we got to wait a little bit to get there. And so in the meantime, we'll try to do all the preparation that we can to get ready for that coming online. And we'll continue to chip away at the other areas of downtown that need a little love. But I think that's kind of the biggest thing for us in terms of promoting our downtown. I mentioned we have world-class parks. We have the professional sports teams. We have incredible dining. And so I feel like that's kind of the one missing piece right now that I think would take us to another level here in Cincinnati.
Fortunately, 2 years from the standpoint of development and urban revitalization is really a short period of time.
Yeah.
So very excited to keep our eyes on downtown Cincinnati. Before we wrap up, Joe, can you share how listeners can stay connected and see what's going on in downtown Cincinnati and maybe get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. I would say there's a wealth of information on our website, 3cdc.org. And so that covers all of our real estate development projects, as well as the programming that we do and the business district. Or if you just want to know what's going on in downtown Cincinnati, we also have a website for that, downtowncincinnati.com. That kind of gives you a lay of the land, understanding what to see and do and eat and drink and where to park and how to get here. And it has some of that nuts and bolts information.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to come to downtown Cincinnati.
We can't wait to have you
and play around.
Yeah.
Your insights today, super valuable, incredibly helpful. I'm really very grateful that you spent some time with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for watching and tuning in to Decoding Downtowns. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Vistity, for sponsoring the podcast. Vistity is dedicated to transforming urban districts with innovative tools that enhance economic development. Learn more about their solutions at vistity.com. And until next time, keep exploring and innovating in your districts. Thank you for joining us today for Decoding Downtowns. If you've enjoyed our podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brought to you by Vistity, the leading geospatial visualization platform for data-driven decisions. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's continue to shape the future of our cities together. Until next time, I'm Jamie Schwartzman.